Okay, yeah, good morning, and let's start. So, what we discussed briefly in the last session is when we start our networking side of things in AWS, we talked about these 6 components. So, if I talk about VPC, VPC is your logical boundary where you will define it within the specified region and associate an IP range. Now, the question is, what do you mean by 10.10.0.0/16? So when I say ten dot 10, okay, let's put this way. This is equal to 65,536 IPs. Right? Now, this last 16 says these two are constant, right? These two are completely changing all the time. Means what? If you divide, let me change to, yeah. So if you divide this to 8, 8, 8, and 8 octets, right? So if you say /16, so subnet, so 16, this will remain constant. Getting my point? If I say /16, that means these two will never change. Okay, the rest all you can change however you want to. Okay, you want to define a small chunks, you want to define the larger chunks, you want to define, okay, so one single subnet, it is up to you. But in /16, these two will never change. Similarly, let's take an example. So 10.10.10.0/24 example. Okay, now again divide. How many IPs you will get here? 256 IPs. Agree? /24, 256, correct? Now, in this case here, 8, 8, 8. So 24 means these three is fixed. 24, that I gave it here. Now, what is changing? This is completely changing so that you will get these many number of IPs to use. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, it's clear now.
These two are easy to understand. If you ask me, what if I put as 20/20 means what?
Um,
Right? So these two are pretty plain, and explanation in layman is pretty easy. But if I say /20, that calculation won't fit here. Correct? So
yeah,
for that, there is a subnet, online subnet calculator. What I'll do, class A, right? /20. Subnet mask is /20. So 255, 255, 240.0, 4000 IPs you'll get. Sorry, 4096 IPs total you'll get. If I say /20, how? let's keep it /24, 255, 255, 255.0. That is a subnet. Means these three will be fixed. 255, 255, 255.0 slash, if I give it to /24, that is the subnet value. Okay, now let me put this way. I have 10.10.10.0/24. In that case, if I assign 10.1 is production IP for my server, and IP config. There is a subnet mask, right? Then subnet mask is 255, 255, 255.0. Now there is a gateway. Gateway is your Wi-Fi router, right? So 10.10.10.254 is the gateway. Why 254? Why can't 255? 255 on 0, you can't use it. You need to ignore it, right? These two are out of scope. We can't use those two. Now, this is how your IP allocated. So this means your subnet will become 255 and you can use 1 to 254. So one is your production IP, two is your gateway. Gateway means your switch IP or your Wi-Fi router IP, whatever the IP that you assign to yourself. Now, second server 10.10.10.2. Again, subnet will become same. Gateway is it's common gateway. Switch IP will not change. So it's common. So for all the 255 servers or 254 servers within this subnet, your gateway is fixed. This is fixed. And your IP is changing till what time? Till it exhausts the subnet. Now, this is for /24. Let's consider /16. 10.10.0.0/16. In this case, we can't really use one single subnet with 65,000 IPs. It's purely hypothetical example I'm trying to give. 0 and 255, if I take it out, 10.10.0.1, 255, 255, 0.0, that is a subnet. 10.10.255. Sorry, yeah, 255.254 is the last IP within that range. This is the gateway. You got it? Now, in between these two, explaining these two is pretty simple. Now, if I give a /20, I said 10.10.10.0/20. Okay, now let's go back to our other discussion. /20 4096, correct? 24 256 square 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 square, right? You keep on doubling your numbers. Now here /20 means, let's try with the calculator here. So 10.10.10.0/20. Your starting IP is this. To your ending IP is this. Okay, that means these two are fixed, but this is somehow changing, but not completely, to a certain extent. How? Certain extent, up to you reach 4096 IPs. Now, accordingly, your subnet value will also change. So for this range, what I need to do, 10.10.0.1 is the IP. Oh, sorry. 10.1 is the production IP. 255, 255, 240.0, 240.0 is the subnet, and your last IP is 10.10.15.254 is gateway IP. Okay, so in a way you will get 4094 IPs. How you will define that? If you have to calculate based on the required number of IPs, and if you create this as a slash 24, very commonly used 24 and 16, it is easy for you to calculate. Rest all the things based on the requirement. Let's say I have a security device, okay, firewall. How many firewalls you will buy for a company? Maybe one or two. Then why you need a 256 IPs? In that particular subnet, you are going to place only two devices, firewall 1 and firewall 2. Then why you need a 256 IPs? You are wasting your IPs, keeping all the keeping two firewalls in a large subnet. You are not going to utilize that whole subnet. Whole subnet means whole range of IPs. You are not going to use it. Then you are wasting the IPs. In that case, we will recommend to use the smallest subnet. Let's say slash 30, or if it is slash 30 is too small, at least slash 28, right, or 27. That is recommended for your firewall usage. I'll explain, okay, down the line when we get that such requirements. I'll explain in brief. But what we need to remember as a layman, if you want to spend some time and understand the subnetting and all, right? So this is one place where you can spend some time, and you'll be able to get the all the details. Okay, if I want to put slash 27, you'll see 1 to 30. That's it. Only 30 IPs you will get maximum. Now 32 IPs, in fact, 2 IPs if I minus, you'll get 30 IPs. Now slash 26, 64, you need to minus 64, you need to minus 2. Your usable is 60. And slash 25, 126 IPs. 24, 254, right? 23, 512, 22,000 IPs, 21, 2046 IPs, 20, 4096. So your range is not changing, but you see, if you're changing your subnet, your number of IPs will keep on changing. The same thing I have explained on the other day in a small table. That's the easier way to understand, I believe. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking. Right? So the reference is that online subnet calculator that you can use in order to define or design your subnet based on your requirement. Does it make sense, this one? Any other questions?
Yeah, it's clear now. And one more doubt, we can have the two subnets in the same availability zone. While creating the subnets, we will point to the availability zone, right? We will give no
100%.
preference. We can have.
100%, yes.
Okay.
In one availability zone, you can keep all the subnets, not an issue.
Okay. But if the availability zone is down, then the entire
all the servers are gone. No, none of the servers will function.
Okay. And one more thing, like by default, we have any VPC because I didn't create any VPC in my account, but I saw one like initially when I logged.
170 to 31 range by default, one VPC will be created. Okay, let's say people are not familiar with the networking, but they want some server to deploy and testing something like a developer. They don't really understand the networking EC2 or any sort of other configurations, routing, okay, and then your public IP, private IP. They don't really bother about all those things. They need a simple VM because they want to put the Visual Studio and they want to put the .NET framework inside, and they want to continue with the development activities. Now, for them, it's hard to define all these things and start working on it by themselves. So, in order to facilitate that, by default in every region, if you go to every region, there is one default VPC created, and that you can utilize it if you feel like, okay, this is actually causing an issue. I'm kind of confused with the my own VPCs and the default VPC, so you can clean up and go with your own customization.
Okay. And one more thing, like creating like VPC alone, will it trigger any cost? Because yesterday I created few VPC, few
No,
sub. It will not.
Creating VPC is free.
Okay. So we
Okay.
don't need to delete any VPC also, right? Only creating Ec2 instance, all those will trigger cost.
Yes. Now there are some terms and conditions. I'll show you. So alone VPC won't cost you, but associated components might cost you. I'll explain one by one when we are testing them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second. So let me log in. 102985. So this is one account what we tested yesterday, and I need another account, right? So 2671 is one account. Let me go back. 2671 is one account where I have created a subnets, VNet, route table and all, or VPC route table and all. So if I go to another account, 8324, 8324, this is another account. So two accounts that I have, and I created two different VPCs. So VPC, give me a second. Right. So go to your VPCs. One VPC I created yesterday, 10.10.0.0/16 on one account. Treat like one different customer. And go to other account. Okay, 2671 VPC. VPCs. Same range I gave it. It will automatically accept it. Okay. Doesn't matter whether it is in the same account or it is in a different account. You will be able to create duplicate IP ranges, but thumb rule says never create a duplicate IP ranges in your customer environment, meaning you will not be able to connect them together if you want to form one single, I'll say, private network. It's a different story. Now, what we discussed yesterday, how to create a VPC, we have seen route tables, subnets, internet gateway, all these things are set up on both the sides, on both the customer accounts. Correct? Now, I want to deploy two servers here, and I want to deploy at least one server here. Okay. So can I rephrase this diagram a little bit so that we'll be able to easily understand? So AWS Networking VPC Architecture. Okay, we call it as, let's say, I have one region. Maybe I'll keep it like this. What is the region? US hyphen East hyphen 1. Customer account. This is one customer account. Can I have another account? Region US hyphen East hyphen 1 on the same region. Customer account is copy. This is another customer account. So in this customer account, what I did, I have created one VPC. So let me change it back to East US prod VPC1 10.10.0.0/16. Okay, now inside I have created a couple of subnets. Subnets. So let's keep this like this. Created three subnets. Web subnet 1 10.10.1.024, app subnet 2 10.10.2.024, DB subnet 3 10.10.3.024. Make sense? Three different subnets created. Now I want to have one route table. Okay, what is this route table? I don't know. What is this route table?
So again, any specific reason like why we are starting like web subnet from one and the other one like from two dot?
0, I kept it aside. Okay.
Uh,
And 0, why I kept it aside? Let's say if I want to put some firewall, some security, some sort of internal devices, I'll use 0 later on. Okay, that's the tendency. 0 and the last 254. Those two we will never use unless it is informed or instructed by architect. If you are architecting, okay, you will keep them aside for future usage, or let's say down the line after 6 months they want to have a tight security within the network. So they can use that 0 and they can put security scanners, DDoS protection devices, or anything else they want to put.
okay, actually this vector is like it is one individual, right? 10.10 dot like 1.0/24 means here I can use for the last zero I can use 256 combination. And
Yes,
one it will start from one, right? From one, or it can be two, three up to 255.
yes.
Okay,
Web
I'm asking
one
like why here we are using 1.0 and the next one is 2.0. Any specific reason why we are starting from two?
1.0 means in this subnet you can have 255 devices.
Yeah.
Okay, and it should be subset of your VPC. It shouldn't be a different range. It should always, your subnets are always a subset of your VPC.
Okay.
Okay, and now how small you want to divide, or how big you want to divide. What is the subnet size that you will decide. Based on that, you will keep on dividing them with the small chunks. So for me, I need a small chunk of 250 devices. This is how I will divide it. If I keep on dividing, how many such subnets I can create, how long you will create till you will exhaust this whole range. So how many such subnets you can create? I have created 3. You can create, I believe, 256, sorry, 256 in total. You created already 3. You will create another 253. Okay, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4, 5, 6, up to 255. How many small chunks that you can create? 256 total.
So we cannot duplicate this one also, right? Inside like even for the web tier and application tier, we can't have the same, right? 10.10.1.0/25 same I can't have for application also, right?
The duplicacy you won't allowed.
Okay.
Okay, that's the thumb rule.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Clear? I have a route table here. So what is this route table? I'm not using the default route table here. I'm using the custom route table. This is the route table. And what I did, these route tables are connected to your subnets. All the subnets will use this route table, like yesterday I explained, right? And outside the building or outside the VPC, I would say, you will have internet gateway. Make sense? Internet gateway. Now this internet gateway will also used by route table. So from these three subnets, if you put any machine, internally they will be able to talk to each other among themselves. Also, if you are trying to go to internet, right? If you are trying to go to internet outside, so it has to go via internet gateway only. Make sense? Now, till this point, what we have, okay, let me create this. Till this point, we have created on the other account as well. Give me a second. All right, yeah, so we have created on the other account as well. So 2671, let's go to 2671. Oh, okay, in 2671, this is the route table. Okay, let's go to other one, route table 786. This is the default route table. Here, this route table I will change just for my reference. And what is the VPC ID over here? VPC ID is this. Here, the other unique identification is your VPC ID will change here as well. Okay, that's the identification within your respective accounts. Now, even though you have a segregation, so if you want to communicate, you have to communicate via internet only. There is no other choice. Just to represent. Make sense? Now, what I will do, I will deploy two machines. Okay, I'll deploy two virtual machines. One is here, other one is here, and third one is here. Does it make sense? So why I'm deploying two machines here and the other machine here? Let's say I want to deploy another machine is also here. Now tell me, these two machines, will be able to talk to each other within the same subnet? Satish? Sharin, Shiva, any thoughts?
Yes, sir. It is able to connect.
These two machines?
Yeah, these two machines. Those two means yeah, because route table is also accepted every subnet, so they can talk to each other.
They can talk to each other. Yes. Right. And these two servers?
No, they can because there is different accounts and there was a different VCP. They
Correct?
can only they
Hmm.
can talk each other because there is a different account.
Correct. Right. So these things, let's quickly test it out, and then we will continue with the other stuff. Make sense? So for that, what I will do, I'll go to EC2. Another service is EC2, which is equivalent to your virtual machines in Azure, and your even in your traditional way, like in VMware or Hyper-V, you call it as your virtual machines. Right. So let's go to EC2. On 2671, there's no virtual machines. So what I will do, I want to deploy Linux servers. Okay, I want to deploy Linux servers. So for that, let me write some bullet points here. EC2 authentication. Okay, EC2 authentication. How it works? Using public and private key combination. Right, if you are talking about Linux or Windows, doesn't matter. It will work through your public and private key combination. Right, you will download a key in your local, and AWS will save one key with AWS itself. So every time when you are logging in, it will validate both the keys. If the thumbprint is matching, it will allow you to log in into the server. That is for Linux. For Windows, it will give you a key, right? You need to use that key to get the password. Get the password in the sense you need to generate the password. So by default, you will not be able to set your own passwords. AWS will offer you a set of keys to authenticate. Now, how to do that while deploying it, I will show you. So let's go to 8324 8324 VPC. I do have a couple of key pairs here. So I want to delete all the key pairs. Key pairs means, as I said, combination of your private and public key. So can I create a key pair now? You can. What kind of key pair? So open SSH putty format. So private key, you need it, and public key, it will save it. Right? I said you need a combination of public and private key. So private key you will download, public key AWS will keep itself. So when you are trying to log in, it will match both the thumbprints and allow you to log in. So which one you want to download? I'll say PEM file I will download. So AWS Web 2022 batch. I'll download the key with that name. Okay, it's downloaded on this account. Let's go to EC2 instances, launch the instance. Now, what kind of servers that you want to deploy? I'll say first I will deploy Ubuntu Linux. 2004 is the latest version. Select. What is the size? Like I said yesterday, T2 micro free tier eligible. So if you deploy this server, is this size, you won't get a bill for 1 month for one server. If you deploy 2 servers, like I said, 15 days is free. Okay, like I'll select T2 micro. How many servers that you want to deploy? I want to deploy 2 servers here. Take a look at my diagram. I want to deploy 2 servers here. Where? In a web subnet under account 8324. Under account 8324, I want to deploy 2 servers under VPC. What is the subnet? Under web subnet. Under web subnet. Okay, and you need a public IP for both. Like I said, whatever the networking, whatever the AWS networking VPC architecture XYZ we are discussing, we are talking about private IPs only. Now, if you're talking about private IPs, how you will access them from your home, where you are sitting currently? Let's say you're sitting somewhere in the remote here. What is your public IP? This is your public IP. Sure. This is my public IP. What is your private IP? This is your private IP. Right? One private IP and one public IP I have. Public IP means which is connected to my Wi-Fi router outside. Private IP which is assigned to my laptop. Now from this public IP, I want to access these machines. If these machines won't have a public IP, how we will reach it directly? There is no choice. So we have to have a public IP here. We have to have a public IP here. I have 3 public IPs. So one public IP will be connected to this. Another public IP will be connected to this. Another public IP will be connected to this. Okay. So how to mention that? Yes, I need a public IP. Please enable it. Make sense? Now rest all you can leave as it is. Next.
Since it is going to be connected to the internet, we need a public IP only for that.
Yes. Once you're trying to send over the internet, you need a public IP. Like I said, in your home, your Wi-Fi router and your internet connection. Within the home, you want to copy the data between your 2 laptops and all. You don't really require the internet. You can connect a cable internally and you can copy it. The moment you're trying to send the data to internet, you need a public IP. Similarly, within the VPC, if you want to communicate, you don't need internet. But from outside, if someone is trying to connect to the AWS server, you need a public IP.
Okay.
Right? And how much space each machine will get? 8 GB for now. Fine. Tags, I'll not add any tags at the moment. So security group, I will select the default security group which I created yesterday. I haven't stressed too much on this point. I said let's blindly follow this. Maybe after a day or two, okay, we'll dedicatedly discuss about security group and then we'll do a lab separately for this. Okay. Launch. When you are launching, you see it is automatically showing AWS Feb 2022 key is the one which I have. Okay, use that key and create my 2 machines. 2 servers are being deployed. View instances. You'll see 2 servers. So what I'll do, web server 1, web server. I need to deploy another server. Launch. Select. Instead of this one, launch. Ubuntu. Third server. What is the size again? I will select the same size. Same one machine I need, but I want to place it in the application subnet. This one. Okay. Application subnet. You need a public IP? Yes, I need a public IP. Rest. Security group, again, same security group. Launch the same using the same key pair. I want to launch it. So it's deploy. App server. What? I have deployed 3 servers now. How to log in? Like I said, this is PEM file. Normally, how you will log in into Linux servers? You will use putty, right? I want to use putty to log in. Fine. But how you will supply this key pair? So there is a way to supply this key pair. For that, you need to download Partition. You need to download. This is Partition key pair, key generator tool. So what I'll do, I'll take Partition. I have it in my local system. So I have this key generator. What I need to do, I need to convert whatever the PEM file, public key encryption, sorry, your encryption, open SSH encryption. PEM means what is a PEM file, right? This is one. And what is this PPK? Putty private key. Putty private key file. Okay. Now I need to convert that. How to go to go to this generator, load the existing private key file. Okay. Select, go to downloads, all files. This is the key I downloaded. Open. It will automatically load the key. Then save as private key only, but I want to save in PPK format. Okay. So AWS Feb 2022 save. That's it. Now for this, I have one AWS session load. Ubuntu, how many servers have you deployed? 3 servers. Have you supplied any username? No. Have you supplied any password? No. Username by default is Ubuntu, and the password your file. So Ubuntu is the user at the rate, and the password file, go to connections, SSH, authentication. You will see browse, which file you need to supply, downloads. This is the file, PPK file which I generated. I'll supply this as an input here. Okay. Now go back to session, and with this name, I want to save the session. So if I save it, every time when I launch this file, when I launch this putty, it will automatically load the Ubuntu and key. It will automatically get it there, and then you will be able to log in. So first server, copy the public IP, select, see, you are able to log in. This is your first server. Second server, copy, take a new session, load, and then supply the IP address. Done. Third server, application, copy, new session, load the key, open. This is your third server. Now, if you take a look at first two servers, 10.10.1.232, 10.10.1.59. Go back to here. Here, this is 10.10.1.232. Second one is 59. Who gave these IPs? Nobody will assign. System will automatically assign these IPs. So what about the second server? 10.10.2.184. So 10.10.2.184. Now, as I mentioned, will they be able to talk to each other? Yes. Let's check that out. From 232, ping 10.10.1.59. It's working. The other one is ping 10.10.2.184, which is also working. One second, yes, one second. One second, guys. Hello. Sorry, guys. Yeah. See, now it is pinging on the other server also, right? So from this to this, it is pinging. That means internally the communication is working within the internal. From outside, from my home, I logged into these servers, right? How to check whether I logged in from my home or not? I'll show you. Okay, so net stat -a pipe more. Okay, net stat is not installed. Let's do this. Right, tool is installed. Now we'll see SSH. SSH means login. What is the remote IP address? 49.206.57.41 ACT broadband. This is the IP address. From this IP address, someone connected to me. Okay, can you check your IP address? 49.206.57.41. Matching. So from outside, if someone is trying to connect, they're actually connecting via public IP. And inside the server, if you are trying to communicate, okay, if I go back to this diagram, within this boundary, you will be able to communicate with all the other servers within this boundary. Done? Understood? Any questions? Yes, come on. Any questions on this? Otherwise, we'll move on to other discussion.
For testing this, instead of using putty and all this, can we use Windows shell? Using
Windows server, if it is a Windows server, you can use Windows. If it is a Linux server, you can't use Windows, right? I will also show you in the next coming sessions. We'll also use a Windows. That time we will use a Windows servers to test it.
No, I'm asking like using Windows shell.
We can use it. Yes, PowerShell you're saying,
Oh,
right?
PowerShell. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
you have to be specific. PowerShell also can be used to log in. So SSH, okay. So -I command is, now here you don't need a PPK file. You will be able to log in with PEM file only. How to? I'll go to downloads because I have the file in downloads, right? So SSH-I AWS February 2022. This is the file I'm talking about. Right? I will supply this as an input file. And what is the username? Ubuntu @ what is the IP address? Let's say this is the IP address. Supply here, login. Yes. Here you go. 184 from Windows PowerShell.
Okay.
What is the syntax? SSH-I, your downloaded file. This is the password, username @ IP, public IP address of yourself.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Password in the sense you are using YOLO. That what password?
Password, we don't need to set any password. Here the PEM file is the key. Okay, let me go to downloads. This is the key.
Okay.
This will be used for authentication. There is no specific password as such. It will use your private key using a public key combination to authenticate your server access.
No, I'm asking like you have written some Ubuntu @54, right? That one.
This is username.
Okay.
This is your server IP.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So this within this account. So from the other account, like I said, I want to create one server. So let's go to other account here. I don't have any. Let me go to key pairs December 21. Okay, I think I have one key in the same downloads file. Let me see if I have December 21 PEM file is there. I can use this to deploy the machine. Right, it is already there with me and key is mentioned here. So what I can do, I don't need to generate another key. If you lost the key, then you need to generate the new file. So I'm deploying on a different account. It's 2004. One server, subnet 1, public IP is needed 100%, and 8 GB, no key pairs, sorry, no key tags, and then launch. I'll use the same December 21, launch it. Right, I got another server. I'll mention as web server 1, but this is in a different account for a different customer. What is the public IP? This is the public IP. Now how to log in? You gave me this path, no? So clear. This is not PowerShell. Exit clear. SSH-I December 21 PEM file. Ubuntu is the username and the password. Username and IP address is this. So from my home, there is no difference. Whether you connect to this server or that server on this account, on that account, doesn't matter. I need that key file and then your server IP address. That's it. See, you will be able to log in 10.10.192. So 10.10.192. This is a different server in a different account. Now, will you be able to log in from this server to this server? Right? Shiva said no, because both are two different accounts. Correct. So ping, what is the private IP of this server? 10.10.1.232. 10.10.1.232. Sorry, boss. How you can say 10.10.10.232? Because this is also 10.10.1. You can have, if you create a one server here, what is IP address of this server? 10.10.1.92. Can I create one server here with 92? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible because there is two different accounts. We can
Different
create the
account.
same IP.
I can create one more machine here with 10.10.1.92. It is quite possible within this subscription. Now, if I'm trying to ping from this machine to 92, which 92? This 92 or this 92? It will confuse, right? Here at the situation, there is no confusion. If I say ping within this account, it will look for the IP within this boundary only. It will not go beyond. Now I'm doing this activity on this server in this account, in this subnet. It is trying to look for 10.10.1.232. There is no 232 here, so that's why destination host unreachable, because it is trying within this boundary only. It is not going outside. Okay, boss, let it be. Whether it is going outside or not, I don't mind. But I want to have a communication between this server and this server. Is there any way? I'll say directly there is no way, boss. Okay, you have to go via public IP. What do you mean by public IP? This server also has a public IP, right? Copy. This is the public IP, which is connected to this machine. So now, how you want to log in? If you want to log in via this public IP, via internet, you go via internet gateway, via this public IP, you have to enter inside. Right? It is roaming like all the way to the internet and go inside. Now, this is also on the same building. This is also on the same building. And you are saying why I should go to the internet. So that is only the way. That is how it is designed. You should not have internal communication because both the IP ranges are same. You can't have them connected together. It will never connect together. Okay, tomorrow I will show you practically whether they will connect to each other or not. Right, you will straight away get an error, but I will show you tomorrow. But for now, how to log in? Let's take the public IP of this server 54.205. From where you want to log in? From this server. What is IP address? 10.10.1.92. Internal IP is 10.10.1.92. That is IP address. From this IP address, you want to log into this server. Okay, fine. Let's see. Cancel. SSH. Now the problem is you need a key file, right? You need that key file. How to get that key file? I'll show you. So pwd, go to the root prompt or go to root prompt once. You are in the root prompt. ls, there's no files, right? So vi Feb 2020. Feb 2022 dot pem. Right. I need that pem file inside this machine. Otherwise, how it will connect to that other server? Right. There's no choice. So this one, open with Notepad, copy the entire data, and come here, insert, done, ls, you have the file name, change mode, I think 6744 Feb pem file, ls-ltr, this is the access, let me see. What server I need to connect with? SSH-I. What is the file name? Feb22. Ubuntu @ what is the IP address of the other server? This is the web server. Copy this IP address. Login. Or you want to log in? Yes. Oh, bad permissions. Permissions are too open. Okay, so I think 744 or 644. Okay, let's do it this way. So clear. Instead of 744, I need to, this is more of a Linux side, 644. That is the file permissions I want to set, right? Now try to log in. Still it is to open. Six double zero. Now I'll try to log in. See, your login inside from one account to another account you logged in. Now via public IP, how to check that out? netstat-a pipe more sudo netstat, sudo apt install net-tools. Okay, if config, is it working? Yeah, it's working, right? So it's fine. So net, go to root prompt, netstat-a pipe more. I should see two SSH connections, right? One SSH connection is from EC2 server via public IP 54.160.250.25. 54.160.250.251. Okay, this is 251. One is ignored at last, but yeah, this is one. And the other server is 49.206.57.41, which is actually my public IP. So on this server 10.1.2.232, one connection is established from my IP address. One connection is established from this IP address. Second connection is established onto this server over the internet. Sorry, boss, I want to have internal communication like this. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, the terms and conditions says no duplicate IP. Okay, that is one terms and conditions. Here it is completely a duplicate IP, then it won't work. So if there is no duplicate IP, how you will establish the communication that we will see in the next session that what we call it as AWS VPC peering. VPC peering means connecting two VPCs together to form one single network. Right? That we will see in the next session on Monday. But the condition is no duplicate IPs. That is thumb rule. Right? So that we will test it on the other day. So far, any questions, anything, any queries? We still have 4 minutes. We can talk. If you guys have any questions. Srini, Siva, understood?
No questions at the moment.
Yeah, I can understand. I'm asking for the duplicate IPs. If we use that two VPC and two VPC, we have used the same exact subnet, like over 10.10.1.0, same subnet for using, and we are creating a provider static IP for both subnets. Is it possible?
No, still not possible because public IP is different, private IP is different. So you want to have a communication over the internet. Yes, it is possible. Straight away, what we tested now, both are duplicate.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and we tested via public IP. It is working. Means this is like an individual entity. This is another individual entity. You are accessing via internet. So it's fine, it is working. But the moment you are saying both belongs to one organization and I want to have an internal private communication, IP is showing as duplicate. Sorry, boss, you have a duplicate IPs. I can't help you. Either you have to change all the IPs of this side or all the IPs of this side, then only that is possible. So that's the reason why the thumb rule says you have to have unique IPs across the company in order to avoid these kind of challenges.
And you said like we have a set a different subnet, like for example 10.10.5 or 10.10.6 series.
Okay, so 10.10.5 subnet is also a subset of this. Again, duplicacy. Whether you create a subnet or not doesn't matter. If your VPC ranges are conflicting, it will treat as a duplicate range. Okay, here I created 3 subnets. Here I will create a different subnets. Okay, let's say 10.10.65.0/24. Is it possible? Yes, you can create it. Possible. But when you're trying to connect both of them, this is also fall under the same parent, same IP range, right? So again, it will show you as a duplicate because whether you use it here or not doesn't matter. It will compare with your CIDR. If it is falling under the same CIDR, it will say duplicate.
If you're providing another IP ranges like 192.160, it should work.
It will work. 10.11 it will work. 10.9 it will work. 10.100 it will work. 10.200 it will work. You take any 10 range other than 10.10, it will work. Or you take 170 to 16, it will work. Or you take 190 to 168, it will work. Only thing is no duplicate.
Yeah, okay, I can understand.
Right? So that we will test it practically in the next session. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Sharon. Any questions? I think if you want to practice, Sharon, I'll upload this video. You practice it in the evening or maybe tomorrow. If you have a questions, you guys can ping me. I'll be able to help you out separately.
Sure, definitely.
Right? So that Monday will continue further. Okay, on the other topic, which is VPC peering.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So let me stop here and I'll see you on Monday, same time.
Yeah, bye.